Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Slayer back here again with another video. Obviously, I'm now out of the hospital. Thank God. That's one of the first things I want to say in today's video is thank God. And the second thing I want to say is thank you guys. Thank you for the prayers, the messages, the well wishes, the all around love and support. It just blows my mind. I'm just some drunk on YouTube. I'm nothing special, and you guys are there for me and really showed me the light in a lot of darkness. I want to also especially thank LD, liver disease, my good friend, for being there for me these last several weeks, talking to me in the hospital, just being a great friend. I've really just come to find that there's a lot of good people here on YouTube. I also want to especially thank Bat Country. He sent me a very heartfelt personal message that I'm not going to get into because it was a personal message, but it was very heartfelt, man, and I wanted to thank you as well personally because I really appreciated that. Shades of clarity, every single one of you guys that reached out, you showed me love, and that's kind of what I needed. I'm very much still really out of it. I'm not feeling the best, so I'm groggy. I never really sleep that great in the hospital, so I'm sorry if I'm kind of out of it during this video, and if I leave things out, I'm sure that I probably will. I wanted to kind of explain to you guys what happened, and what happened was pretty much total and complete destruction is what happened. This last relapse was absolutely horrible. I've said it before, they just get worse and worse and worse, and no matter how many times I try to convince myself that I'm going to be able to control it or just do it one night and put it down, it's the exact same thing every single time. Once I put alcohol in my system, I can't stop. I won't stop until I'm in the hospital, arrested, or I completely run out. Then I'm probably going to go through severe withdrawals and possibly die. This is no joke anymore, guys. It's no joke at all. I made that video titled "Over 2 months sober from years of alcohol abuse and I'm struggling," and I was struggling because that's where all my relapses usually start. For me, it's not always even though it can be. You can go to a party, go to a barbecue, have a great time. Someone offers you a beer and you fall back into that cycle, but usually for me, it's not the case. Usually for me, it's my emotions, my depression, my anxiety, my fears, falling out of the things that I know that I need to do to keep myself sober. That's usually what leads me to a relapse, and that's exactly what happened. I feel bad for myself. It's woe is me. And the things in my personal life were eating me alive. They were. I had no peace day or night. I couldn't get any peace, and I always think that running back to that bottle is going to find me peace, but it never does. It gives you temporary peace for a long-term agony and pain. And like always, I thought to myself, you know what? I can't handle this shit anymore. I can't deal with this. I don't want to feel like this every single day of my life, just hating my life and not being happy. And again, I don't hate my life when I'm doing the things that I know I need to do. But when I fall out of those things, it's very fast that I fall into the devil's grip again, and I sway off the path. That's what happened. I went to the store eventually one night after battling in my mind for probably a solid 2 or 3 days, really going back and forth, like, should I do this, should I not? Because deep down, and I'm sure you guys know, we always know that it's going to be the same. It's going to be horrible. We know it's a terrible idea, but we'll do it anyways. And that's the insanity of this disease. And it is a disease. At this point, there's no one that can convince me otherwise, man. It's a disease. It's a disease of the mind. And because normal people don't do what we do, at least what I do when it comes to drinking, and that insanity Me convincing myself to go and get that alcohol, knowing exactly how it was going to end, because it ends the same way every single time. But I did. I convinced myself to go and pick up a few double shot Southern Comfort 100 proof shooters. I've talked about this before with LD. It's almost like I just teleported there. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there debating it in my room, and now I'm at the liquor store buying them. Knowing and feeling that nervousness, feeling that there's almost a sense of there's a rush to it, because I know that I'm doing the wrong thing, and there's all sorts of selfishness involved too, like, oh, I deserve this, and this is my thing, and this is my time to be alone with this. And that's just the devil, man, talking in my ear, telling me everything that I shouldn't be hearing, telling me everything that he wants me to hear. And so I bought them, and I went back, I cracked open the first one, and I drank it. And just like that, man, I was engulfed back into the alcoholism again. Once it entered my stomach and I felt that warm feeling, it's like the reason why I can't just ever have one is because once I have one, I want to feel that feeling for the rest of my life. That's why I can't stop once I start drinking. Once I feel that warm feeling and my anxieties fade away, I'm wrapped right back into the disease again. And it very much is in remission when we're not drinking. And the second that we take that first drink, the disease has begun again. And so I took that first drink, and then I took that second one. So that's 4 shots. And I turned on music at full blast and just sat there and kind of danced pathetically in my room to myself, trying to enjoy every single moment of how the alcohol was making me feel, because I knew that before too long it was going to wear off. And I also knew deep down inside that in the future this was probably going to end absolutely horribly, and it did. So I sat there and I blasted music, and then I did something even dumber. I drank the third one, and then I decided to go get in my car, which nobody should ever do. It's the most dangerous, stupid thing you could possibly do in the world, but I decided to go and buy 8 more double Southern Comfort shooters. So that's 16 shots total. So now we went from 3 doubles to 8 that quickly, that fast. I went from that to that. That's how fast I go. I go from 0 to 100. There is no stopping or slowing down. It's only progressing from that point forward. And so after that, I proceeded to drive around and drink them and get completely and entirely obliterated to the point that I blacked out. The thing about my ex-girlfriend is that her dad's place, this is another crazy thing I've never told you guys, but my dad's place and her parents' place is pretty much on the same street. So yeah, whenever I'm over at my dad's place, there's sometimes I see them. It's just another horrible fucking thing. I used to think that was a blessing, and at one time it was. But it's not anymore. I go over there and sometimes I see them, but I decided to go over to my dad's place, completely blackout drunk. Then decided that it would be a good idea to go and knock on my ex's parents' door. Now remember, guys, remember when I say this? When we talk about Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, it's 100% true. Alcohol turns me into a completely and entirely different person. The Slayer that you see on camera, the cool, chill, relaxed dude who cares about people, tries to do the right thing, that is not me when I'm drinking. I am a monster. There is a demon behind the wheel that is in control, and I'm dangerous, I'm unpredictable, not only to myself, but anybody else that's around me. So I decided to go over there and knock on her parents' door, blackout drunk, and her dad answered. And so I end up coming to. I'm in this haze. I don't remember any of that. I end up coming back to consciousness, standing in her kitchen, in her parents' kitchen, talking to him, thinking to myself, what the fuck? What? Completely confused on why I was there. I was like, why the fuck am I here? I don't know how I got here. Don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what we're talking about. He was saying something about fishing. No clue what was even happening. I'm completely gone. And I sit there and I remember telling him, asking him something about like, oh, have you seen my brother or something like that? And he said no. Eventually he started to tell me, dude, you gotta leave. Like, you're wasted. You gotta go. You can't stay here. Eventually, like, you can't stay here. And that's completely understandable. I probably would have kicked me out too. I didn't belong there. I shouldn't have been there. So he tells me to leave. Meanwhile, if you guys know, since I was over at my dad's, I'm on Life 360. If you guys know what that is, Life 360, you can see where your family members are. My dad sees that I'm down there and he comes down to kind of, he knew that I was wasted. He tried to come and save the day. And he comes down there. I pretty much tell him to go fuck himself because, again, I'm a terrible person when I'm drinking. He's telling me, get in my car, let's leave. I'm telling him, go fuck yourself. I'll drive myself. I'm completely, no business driving. I tell him, go fuck himself, leave. He's not listening. Eventually, he leaves. I go and I get in my car and I continue to drink parked in my car. Oh, and by the way, before I got in my car, I left my car right in front of their house with the door wide open with music blaring, and it probably sat out there for 2 hours. How the cops didn't get called, beyond me. So I go and I get in my car. I kind of pull it forward into this little parking space. It's kind of an awkward set of like, it's a townhouse, like it's townhouses. So I pulled forward into this parking spot and I continue to drink right in front of their house. I drink to the point that I pass out in my car. Now keep in mind, it is absolutely freezing here. My car is turned off and I am passed out in the car, and it's probably like 10 degrees out during this night. So I am literally in there freezing to death pretty much in my car. And my dad, thank God, showed up again later that night and banged on the window. And I sort of woke up and I'm just going to be honest, guys, this is alcoholism for you. This is how bad it is. I had pissed myself all over. I was full of piss all over myself, all over my chair. I had passed out drunk in front of their house and pissed my pants. And my dad told me to get up, go home. I didn't listen to him. I passed back out. I woke up about 30 minutes later, shivering cold, freezing. I can't explain it to you guys. I couldn't feel my fingers. My entire crotch area was frozen. Like, it was bad. I ended up getting in and driving myself back to his house. Thank God. And I made it back to the house, but it didn't stop there. The chaos, unfortunately, continued after that. I ended up waking up that next day, desperately searching for alcohol that I might have had in my pockets or alcohol that I might have had in my car, with absolutely no success of finding any. And my dad at this point, I work for my dad. I don't know if I've ever told you guys that. So my dad, that's the only reason I haven't been fired from my job, and there's so much leniency there. It's because I work for my dad. And so I'm desperately searching. I go out to my car. I'm looking for alcohol in my car. I can't find any. And I end up trying to sober up for a day. I do. I end up sobering up for a day. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? I'll white knuckle, the withdrawal or whatever, and I'll be okay. Well, that didn't work at all. That lasted about 3 hours, and I was right back at the liquor store, back at it again. And for the next 3 to 4 days, I did nothing but drink and drink and drink more. That's all I did for like 3 or 4 days straight, was drink ungodly amounts, deadly amounts of liquor, hard liquor, Southern Comfort 100 proof. I'm talking 20, like, 10 doubles. That's like 20 shots at a time, passing out in my room on the floor, pissing myself, waking up, doing it all over again. It got to the point that my dad ended up taking my keys away from me. Or he didn't take my keys away from me, but he actually has a spare key to my car that I've given it to him just in case of emergencies or whatever. So he ends up taking my car and driving it off somewhere so he can keep it away from me so I can no longer drive to the liquor store. That's not going to stop me. Once I'm in full-blown addiction mode, you can take my car. I'll pedal, I'll swim, I'll jump through hoops, I'll run, I'll walk a marathon, and I'll walk miles if that's what it takes to get my fix once I'm wrapped up in that cycle again. And so that's exactly what I did. I started walking to get my alcohol. And then one night, I ended up getting a hold of my car again. It was parked out. He ended up thinking that I wasn't going to get in it, and so he brought it back. That was a horrible mistake. I ended up going and getting in the car, and I drove over to one of the company buildings that my dad kind of works at. It's kind of his building. I'm not going to get into details about that. That's not important. The important thing is that I was drunk off my ass driving over there. I was on my way to get more liquor, and as I'm on my way over there, I see that my brother's car is parked there. Because my brother also does a little bit of, no more. He no longer works for my dad after this. He should have never probably been working to begin with, since he has no contact with any of us, not even my parents. But anyways, I see that his car is at this building. I pull up and I decide, well, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to confront him. I'm going to fucking confront him and call him out for, going and running off with my ex-girlfriend and not talking to me for years. All this shit, I would have never done any of this if I wasn't intoxicated. So here we go again, more destruction, more chaos. I end up running up there. Again, I leave my car parked in the middle of the road with music blasting. I run up there, open up the door and get inside. I come around the corner. Once he sees that I'm in the building, it was like, I think he shit himself a little bit, to be honest with you guys. And I ran up to him, and he turned around and closed the door and was holding the door shut. And so I grabbed the door and I was opening it. I'm stronger than he is, so he knew that I was going to get the door open. So I'm pulling on this door. He's screaming at me, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" I'm telling him, "Man, I'm just going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass." I don't realize that there's 2 floors. There is a lady in this building right above us watching all of this go down. I didn't realize this. So I'm pulling on this door. Eventually, he lets go of the door. So he lets go of the door and I go flying back, and I hit, there's a Christmas tree in there. So I fall into this Christmas tree. He has a metal hydro flask. This motherfucker takes this metal hydro flask. I think he was trying to kill me, to be honest, guys. He took this fucking metal hydro flask. With all of his might, he took it around. He swung it, and he fucking hit this hydro flask over my head. He banged this fucking thing over my head as hard as he could. Bung! When he hits me over the head with the hydro flask, I go down, man. I fall down. My vision goes blurry. I'm having a hard time seeing things. He's standing there over me. He drops the hydro flask. He's in fear. I stand up. I'm like, "You just fucking hit me in the head with the hydro flask? What the fuck?" And he's like, "Man, fuck you." And at this time, I can see that there's a lady above us watching the whole entire thing, watching all of this chaos ensue. This is what happens when I drink, guys. This is what happens. Complete and utter just catastrophe. And so this lady is watching, and I pick up the hydro flask, and I'm like, "Do you really think?" I get my bearings back to me, and I run around the corner. He takes running up the stairs. So now at this point, I don't necessarily want to just completely, beat him up or do anything too horrible to him since this lady's there. So I just took the hydro flask and I flung it at him, and it hit him in his back, and he ran up the stairs. And at that point, I knew the lady he was like, call the cops. So I knew the cops were coming. So I jet out the building, jump in my car, and zoom on out of there. I go to another place and kind of hide out because I think that the cops are going to be looking for me or some shit. I don't know. I'm drunk out of my mind. I'm paranoid. Well, the cops do end up coming. They get in contact with me. They ask me a whole bunch of questions, back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Nothing ends up coming of it. Honestly, if anything, he should have probably went to jail. He was the one who hit me, but since I kind of came after him, it is what it is. He went on his way, I went on my way. So that was a complete and utter and total disaster. On top of that, my uncle shows up and ends up taking his side, and we got into a massive argument, and at this moment in time, me and my uncle's relationship is completely ruined. Yeah, guys, I'm letting you in on a lot of personal stuff. This is what I do on this YouTube channel. I share my journey in this alcoholism in hopes that you guys watch these videos and realize this is why you don't want to drink. This is why if you are drinking now and you have a problem, please go and get help and stop. It gets worse and worse. So I'm pretty sure me and my uncle's relationship is completely ruined now after that. So I came back. Again, my dad decided to take the car, go park it far away so I couldn't get my hands on it. And at this point, he had taken my my bank card and my money, so I had no more money left. I still had my ID though. This is how bad this relapse was, guys. I reverted. It's like, it doesn't matter how long you go without drinking, or at least for me, without drinking. Once I drink again, I'm immediately as messed up as I was when I started. I reverted way back to like when I was like 23 years old, 24, drinking every single day, and I would do crazy things to get my alcohol. I ended up gathering a whole bunch of my clothes, old clothes. I put them on my back and I walked miles. I'm talking miles in the cold. And people driving by me looking at me like I'm nuts, probably thought I was some homeless person. My hair was crazy, wasn't showered. I walked miles with these clothes down to this place that allows you to trade your clothes in for cash. So I went down there, traded in some nice clothes that I actually, you know, some of them I wore. Never gonna have those clothes again. Traded those in and made about $6. Yeah, $6, which was enough for 6 shooters. Went over, bought 6 shooters, walked all the way back to my place, drank them, passed out, woke up again, ended up, I didn't want to be done. I wasn't ready to be done yet. It's like, we're done. We're ready to be done when we're done. So at this point, I'm contacting people. I have this one girl who is ready to bring me liquor, and I'm like, okay, so I got that in line. And then in the meanwhile, I literally, this is how pathetic I am, guys. I went down to a local liquor store and I begged some dude for cash. That's really sad to admit, man. That's really hard for me to admit, but I begged this guy for cash and he ended up giving me $5. And so pathetically, I went and I'm detoxing horribly. I'm withdrawing horribly at this point. You know, 5 days, 6 days, whatever of drinking, I'm at that point, I'm going through terrible withdrawal. I go over, I end up buying 5 shooters, and the cycle continues. The next day, I feel absolutely horrendous, and this chick is like telling me, oh, I don't know if I can get the liquor, I don't know if I can get the liquor, and a moment of clarity came to me eventually, and I was like, man, I've got to stop this shit. I talked to LD, I talked to some other people, and I realized I've got to be done. And so that's when I ended up going to the hospital and checking myself in. And what happened when I got out and why I went back is I got out a few days. I was feeling better at first, but then all of a sudden I just started feeling really shitty. It's probably because I was drinking energy drinks. I wasn't eating right. I wasn't taking my health seriously at all. And I just started feeling absolutely terrible. My liver was in pain, my pancreas is in pain. So I ended up going back to the hospital, which you guys saw, and it come to find out, yeah, my numbers were a little bit elevated, but I was actually extremely low on potassium, and that can kill you, being extremely low on potassium. And so, yeah, to this moment, I don't feel very well. I felt horrible in the hospital. They gave me all sorts of fluids. And now here I am here I am today. Yeah, man, that's the chaos that ensued over the last 2 or 3 weeks, or however long it took. Crazy, I know. If you watched all the way to this point, I appreciate you for listening. You know, I'm going to say this. It is not easy to get on here and share these things on YouTube. It's not. Sometimes it's really, really embarrassing. Sometimes it's really hard. It makes me feel like, you know, sometimes I'm being judged. But I get on here and I say these things because I know that it will help somebody. And I want to show you guys the realism of alcoholism. I was told in the hospital that, you know, you're doing all there. The doctor told me you're doing all right now, but if you keep this up in a couple years, you're probably going to die. It's catching up with me, guys. I'm skinnier than I ever have. I'm like 10 or 13 pounds underweight. I'm weak. I'm beaten down. I'm extremely depressed. And it's because I just will not give up that bottle. And when it comes to the things that I have to face in my life, my traumas that are coming up, it's time to face them. I talk about being a Christian. Well, I'm very much a lukewarm Christian. It's time to be a real Christian. You know, there's scripture that talks about the people that have a form of godliness, but never pursue all of it. And that's very much been me. It's time to start to take things seriously, even the cussing. You know, I don't need to get on here and curse and do that stuff. I want to be a good person. And Lord willing, you know, I'll have another chance. I've had so many chances. And I get paranoid in my brain like some horrible thing is going to happen to me because I have had so many chances. I also didn't mention that my dad found me like driving drunk, almost crashed into cars. I mean, this was a horrendous relapse, and they're never going to get better. I need to understand that it is never, ever, ever going to be different. And if I continue down this road, one day this will kill me. It's time to be serious about this. I don't know what I'm going to do about this YouTube. I love doing these YouTube videos. I really do. I want to continue doing them, but I need to do whatever it takes for me to get sober. I'm not going to get into all my plans as far as what I'm going to be doing to get sober. I'm going to be trying to get healthy these next few days. I'm going to try and get back on my feet because I do not feel the greatest. But that's what happened, guys. Absolute and utter total destruction, total chaos, total embarrassment, the shame and the guilt that I've been feeling over these last couple days. I've cried and cried and cried. It's just such a demon. And we give into it. I give into it. And I sit here wondering, you know, once it's all said and done, you sit there and I think about, you know, the days that I did, the months that I had sober with just so much regret and shame of like, why would I go back? My brain, I don't ever give my brain enough time to heal. 6 months to a year to fully heal. And I haven't been 6 months sober in, wow, a decade, I think. I think it's been a decade that I haven't went 6 months sober. I haven't went 4.5 months sober in probably 8-9 years. That's how bad it is. And when I drink, I drink. I'm not just an alcoholic. I'm not just a heavy drinker. I'm a severe alcoholic. And it's time to really do some self-searching because I think I'm at a crossroads at this point. I don't know how many more of these relapses I can go through before I end up just giving up and completely giving up and just going full force into the drinking again. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to give up. I don't want to give up. Again, guys, I want to say thank you to each and every single one of you guys that reached out to me. I want to say thank you to God, and I want to say I appreciate you guys for being around. I'm thankful for another day, and you know, hopefully things go up from here. Hopefully I don't end up going back to the hospital because that would suck. So yeah, guys, I'm sure I missed a whole bunch of different stuff in here that I didn't cover. It wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, guys, thank you. I'll see you guys soon. Stay safe, stay sober, and remember that first drink is always going to lead to destruction. Peace.